Hey, everybody, it's John Moore with the Texas College Football Show, quarterback edition. Look, we've already done the head coaches. We're talking about Texas FBS Division One football here in the state of Texas. These are FBS qualified schools. We got 13 schools in the state of Texas that are FBS qualified. Last week we put down, or not too long ago, my first video we put out, we counted down the coaches for the FBS schools. We go from the SEC all the way down to the Sun Belt Conference, the teams that are eligible for the college football playoffs. We've counted them down. Now we're going to go to the quarterbacks. Before we go into it, let me make sure you understand something. These are my personal opinions on where I think these guys lie. Certain things go into the criteria of why I think someone's ahead of somebody else when it comes down to it. There are a few schools. There's 13 schools right now. 10 of them, if you look at every magazine or preseason or anything like that, 10 of them basically in depth charts already have their starters picked out. There are 3 schools, and they're going to be at the bottom of our list starting backwards, who don't. They have 2 or 3 guys competing for the job. We'll go over each one of those guys also and kind of tell you who they are, what they are, and where they stand on the coaches and what they're going to do. So let's start out at number 13, and let's tell you who it is going to be at the UTEP Miners there for Scotty Walden. For the quarterbacks there's 2 guys competing. It's Skylar Locklear and Malachi Nelson. Now, Malachi Nelson is a name a lot of you guys might remember, but Skylar Locklear, look, the one drawback of Skylar Locklear, he started a lot of games last year, started 10 games in 2024 for Coach Walden. But he followed Coach Walden over there from Austin Peay. That's where he was. He's originally from Clayton, North Carolina. He was at Cleveland High School. He threw for like 8,000 yards in high school. But he's, his one drawback, he's only 5'11", about 195 pounds, and not particularly, your pro quarterback set that you're looking there for. Did a pretty good job last year, 10 TDs, 6 interceptions, 1,583 yards and 10 starts. That wasn't bad. The issue that Coach Walden has is that he's got a 5-star on the roster. Now, it's a 5-star who has traveled that's on the roster. His name's Malachi Nelson. A lot of you may remember Malachi Nelson. He's 6'3", 192. He was a 5-star out of Los Alamitos, California, coming out of high school. He came out the same year as Arch Manning, so he was in that whole group of them. Arch was the number 1 consensus overall recruit that year. Malachi Nelson was in the top 10. A lot of them had him. He was like the 4th best quarterback that year, and he committed originally to OU. But then when Lincoln Riley took the job at USC, he followed Lincoln Riley and went to USC, and that's where he ended up signing and his letter commitment, and he ended up going to USC. Now, he never got on the field. He became a 3rd stringer at USC. So he moved on to Boise State in 2024, and he lost the starting job to Maddox Matson. And so after losing that job, he transferred into UTEP. Now, this is a guy right here that, this is a 5-star talent. Everyone saw what he could do coming out of high school. He's now at UTEP. It's between him and Locklear to get this job. Now, there's a good and bad that comes with everybody. And with Malachi, there's a good and bad. And the good is 5-star talent. If Coach Walden can harness this talent with Malachi Nelson, it could help him win a lot of games, right? This guy's a dual threat. He can run, he can throw. To be a 5-star coming out of high school, he's obviously a talented player. What's the downside to that if they harness that talent? The downside to that is this probably isn't the guy who stays at UTEP. He could be on the move again. Let's say he comes into UTEP, they go 6-6 or 7-5. They end up competing, and winning a few games, making a bowl game. This is a guy right here who might see greener pastures or NIL money that takes him somewhere else. I mean, he was a 5-star talent. So Coach Walden's got a tough decision to make there, and it's a good problem to have. But that's number 13, UTEP, and their set of quarterbacks. Now we got another one that's got a couple of them competing. And actually there are 3 of them that are competing here, and that's the Rice Owls. For the Rice Owls, you've got Chase Jenkins, A.J. Padgett. You look at all the different organizations that are ranking everything, depth charts. A lot of them, some of them have Padgett, some of them have Jenkins. Jenkins was he's a redshirt sophomore. He's a 6 foot out of Katy, went to a Leaf Taylor. Now, when he came in, he played sparingly his freshman year in 2023, but he didn't have a lot of action. Last year, he moved to wide receiver and still didn't have a whole lot of action last year at wide receiver. Played some and did well, but he is being looked at again for Coach Abell at quarterback. Now, the other one's A.J. Padgett. He's from Frisco Reedy, a 6'3", 241. He's a big kid. In 2022, he played in 3 games. He threw about 630 yards. In 2023, he played in 6. That was 2023. 2022, he played in 3 games for 630 yards. 2023, he played in 6 games for 721 yards. So these 2 guys are there. There's also a third name that's kind of being thrown around, but he hasn't been listed as a starter yet. But it's Drew DeValier. He's a redshirt freshman out of Plano. Went to Plano East. Last year, he was on the squad. He played in 3 games, didn't really do a lot. But it seems to be coming down to Jenkins and Padgett, who Abell's going to go with. But don't forget that name, DeValier. Let's see what happens there. He's another big kid coming out of Plano, 6'5", 6'6". I mean, this is a big boy coming out of there. But let's see what Coach Abell does with that. Let's go down to number 11. That's going to be Texas State. Now, Texas State has 3 names that have been coming up on Texas State. You got Brad Jackson, Holden Geriner is how you say that. It's Geriner if you kind of know that. But Nate Yarnell is another name that's coming in, and there's a lot competing for that. Jackson was a redshirt freshman. He's a redshirt freshman. He's 6 foot 200. He's out of San Antonio, Reagan, where he was a 4-year starter. Jackson was. He threw for almost 10,000 yards. Last year, he redshirted. Didn't see much action last year as a redshirt freshman. Now, Geriner is the name. I kind of put him in the middle here to watch. He's the transfer from Auburn. Geriner comes over from Auburn. He's from Benedictine Military High School in Savannah, Georgia. He was a 4-star coming out of high school. He ended up going to Auburn first in 2022. He played in 1 game. Played in a couple of games in 2023, played in 5 games, and then last year only in 2 games, and he transferred in to Texas State. Pretty big boy, Geriner is going into that, but, played at SEC level and maybe could do something there. Now, the last guy's Yarnell. He's a redshirt senior. He's out of Lake Travis. He's back close to home. He came from Lake Travis, was a backup to Hudson Card in high school. It's kind of a strange story. He didn't really start a lot in high school. His senior year, Hudson Card got hurt, and he started about 5 games. He ended up going to Pitt right out of high school and played there. He played 2 games his freshman year, 4 games. He played in some games there. He didn't start in any of them. Last year, in 2024, he played in 9 games and threw for about a little over 1,000 yards. He's a big boy too, but he's back home there in Austin, close to Austin. Texas State's in between Austin and San Antonio there in New Braunfels or wherever you call it, right down there. But look, this is a guy right here that G.J. Kinney, the guy that knows how to get stuff out of his offense, is the one that's going to be doing that. Hopefully he can get one of these guys going. It'll be interesting to watch this year, see how they split snaps or how they do it, or somebody just takes that job over when the fall comes. But they've got a few guys to do it from. Let's go down to the top 10. And top 10, we're going to go to North Texas State, where Reese Poffenberger, I hope I'm saying that right. He's out of Middleton, Maryland. He's from Middleton High School. Hey, he transferred in from UNT. From University of Miami, where he backed up Cam Ward at Miami. So he wasn't going to hit the field a bunch last year. He played in 4 games, but before that, he started 26 games at Albany University, which transferred him over to Miami. He played 26 games. He started. He threw for almost 6,000 yards, 58 TDs, 16 interceptions at Old Dominion, and that got him to Miami. In 2021, originally his first year at Old Dominion, he didn't play much, but he played those next 2 years. He started. That got him to Miami. He backed up Cam Ward, writing on the wall when Carson Beck came in to Miami. He wasn't going to play again. Transfers over to UNT, and he's already been penciled in as the starter there for Coach Eric Morris. Let's go down to number 9. And number 9 is Hunter Watson at Sam Houston State. He's a redshirt senior. He's out of Salina High School, so he's a DFW kid there. 2021, he's got an interesting path. He started out at Arkansas Monticello Community College. He played in a total of 6 games over 2 years. He was there in 21 and 2022. And then he went to Iowa Western Community College. He won a national championship, and he led them to a national championship there. Threw for 1,904 yards, 22 TDs, and only 4 interceptions before going in and transferring in to Sam Houston State, and he started 12 games for the Bearkats last year, threw for 1,817 yards, 12 TDs, and 8 interceptions. He comes in with some experience this year for Sam Houston State. And Phil Longo, who's taken back over. But Phil Longo, another offensive guy, really could do something special there. Now let's go down to number 8. Interesting guy, Owen McCown. Owen McCown out of he's out of Rusk High School. This is the son of Josh McCown. I don't know if you guys remember Josh McCown. Ended up at SMU, played at Sam Houston State himself. I think he played about 15 to 16 years in the NFL, bounced around as a backup, made a great living doing that. So Owen McCown came out in 2022, and he originally went to Colorado where he redshirted and played 4 games in 2023. And then 2023, he transferred in to UTSA, played in 7 games, threw for about 442 yards before taking over last year. Started all 13 games, threw for 3,424 yards, 25 TDs, and 10 interceptions. He is a redshirt junior, but he comes in with a lot of experience this year. And being a McCown, you know, he's got uncles and cousins and everybody that had played this game. This is a kid right here who could really turn into something. And at UTSA, Jeff Traylor's got a good one. And we know how Jeff Traylor is as a coach, but getting this guy and having somebody experienced to lead your offense is really, really helpful. Now let's go to number 7. Number 7 on our list is Sawyer Robinson out of Baylor. He's a redshirt senior out of Baylor, originally from Lubbock Coronado High School. He was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. Ended up going to Mississippi State, and he was there for 2 years at Mississippi State, played in about 5 games over that 2 years. And then 2023, he played in 12 games, started for Baylor and threw for 864 yards with a couple of TDs. And then in 2024, he started all 12 games. They didn't win enough. He threw for 3,071 yards last year at Baylor, 28 TDs, only 8 interceptions. He had a good year. Dave Aranda, he's on the hot seat. He's got an experienced quarterback in there now. And so Sawyer Robinson comes in at number 7 on our list. One more before we get to the top 5. And this is a guy I like a lot. I've actually met him. One time he came into you guys know I cover the Rangers and for DLLS. He came over there to get some stuff done. He was down on the field before a game. And that's Bayron Morton out of Texas Tech. He was a high school. Bayron Morton was out of Eastland, Texas, and Eastland High School. Played for his dad out there, I believe. In 2021, he redshirted. He went to Texas Tech straight out of high school. In 2022, he threw for 1,117 yards and 7 TDs. And then in 2023, he started establishing himself. He played in 10 games. He started 8 games and threw for 1,757 yards and 15 TDs before last year, where he started 12 games out of 13, threw for 3,335 yards, 27 TDs, and 8 interceptions. Joey McGuire's got himself a good little quarterback there at Texas Tech with a lot of experience, almost 2 full years of starting. Look, this is a team going into the Big 12. I have said that I think Texas Tech has a really good shot to win the Big 12 and possibly play for the national championship. And they're going to all do that on the back of Bayron Morton if they can. They had a great transfer portal class. They had good recruiting coming in. Now, those guys won't be on campus this fall. But watch what Joey's doing there. And let's watch Bayron Morton. The numbers he threw up last year were good. Let's see what comes after that. Guys, after this, we go into the top 5. And in our top 5, starting off our top 5, this is an interesting one. We're going to go with Josh Hoover out of TCU. He's a redshirt junior. He's out of Rockwall Heath High School here in the Metroplex, so he didn't travel too far to go away. He redshirted his freshman year in 2022 and didn't play any. 2023 played in 10 games. He started 6, threw for 2,206 yards, 15 TDs, and 9 interceptions. Kind of took over as the starter there in 2023. Came back last year and started all 13 games for the TCU Horned Frogs. Threw for almost 4,000 yards, 3,949 yards. He threw 27 TDs and 11 interceptions. He's it. He's the starter. He's a redshirt junior. Another team to watch in the Big 12. This is another Texas. Look, I'm pulling for all the Texas teams in the Big 12 because I want to see a Texas school win the Big 12. Last year, obviously, it was Arizona State. This year, I want to see a Texas team, and there's a few of them that have a real shot to do it, including Baylor, who we talked about earlier. But I think at the top of that bracket for the Texas schools that have a chance, the top ones are probably TCU and Texas Tech out of the Big 12. Maybe Houston, and because their quarterback is going to be really good, and he's going to be someone interesting we're going to talk about in just a second. That's the top 5 right there. Josh Hoover is number 5. Let's go to number 4, and an interesting name here, and you Aggies are going to be wondering about this. Connor Weigman. Connor Weigman is an interesting story, and this one's probably going to carry on for a little bit as we tell the story of Connor Weigman. Connor Weigman was a 5-star recruit coming out of Bridgeland High School in Cypress, Texas. Now, let me be honest about this guy. He was ruined by Jimbo Fisher. I have never been a Jimbo Fisher fan, even when, I'm a homer for UT. UT was on the verge of doing something with Connor Weigman. With Jimbo Fisher, and I did not like it. When A&M hired Jimbo Fisher, I said it was a mistake. I said this guy was a fraud. Well, he ruined Connor Weigman. I don't know if y'all remember, this was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He was a dual sport athlete. He was really highly ranked in the baseball too. There was some thought he might get drafted out of high school as a baseball player, but he wanted to go play football at Texas A&M. He comes in as a true freshman. He ends up playing in 5 games as a true freshman, threw for 896 yards, 8 TDs with no interceptions. So it was fantastic what he did, but it could have been a lot more. So what happens with Connor Weigman the freshman year, I don't know if y'all remember, Haynes Kings was the original starter. Haynes Kings, this once again that year in 2022, coming in, Texas A&M was like, all their fans were like they normally were. This is the year we're going to win the national champion. And they end up, at 500. At that year, I think they ended up 5-7. And that was kind of the demise of Jimbo Fisher right there. It was close to it. He ended up getting fired that next year. But he comes in. They lose to Appalachian State. Everybody remember that second game of the year? They lose to Appalachian State, a team they were supposed to beat. It was obvious then they were not going to play for an SEC title. The talent wasn't there. Haynes Kings was dealing with injuries or whatever. And I said and screamed it from the rooftops right then and there. You go to your 5-star quarterback. Let him take his lumps. It's the 3rd season of the game. Turn it over to the true freshman. He's not going to look great, but man, you talk about gain the experience and be ready to go into his sophomore year. If this guy's everything that he was advertised, and then look what happened. They go with, what's his name? Johnson, the Johnson kid first. They start trying to play him, and then he ends up doing, getting injured. And then Haynes Kings comes back, and he struggles some, and they finally turn it over to the freshman who throws 8 TDs, 0 interceptions, threw for almost 900 yards, and only played in 5 games and started a few at the end of the season. Didn't have a lot of experience. You saw the talent, though. And everyone knows that a QB is going to go through lumps. It's just going to happen. Every QB goes through lumps and has issues. 2023 comes in and starts the first 4 games. Throws for 979 yards, 8 TDs, and 2 interceptions, and that's when he has a freak accident, if y'all remember that. He got injured in the end zone, broke some bone in his ankle, I believe, or something like that, putting him down. So he only played in 4 games. So now he's only played in like 6-7 games where he started coming into last year. Weigman was the guy. Everybody thought Weigman was the guy, but we all knew that like any new quarterback coming into this, they've got to go through those games. They're going to all have them. Arch Manning's going to have them. He's, I think Arch Manning, which we'll get into in our list in a minute, but these guys have to go through those games where they're going to make mistakes and they're going to do it. So what happens to Weigman? He comes in last year. He starts and plays in 6 games, but he lost the job. He throws for 819 yards. He throws 3 TDs, 5 interceptions, and he starts to go through his lumps, and he's a talented quarterback. They yank him. And that's what led to Marcel Reed becoming the guy he is. Now, I'm not saying that Marcel Reed is a good quarterback. Connor Weigman is probably a better quarterback. Just my opinion. I just think Weigman didn't have the chance. The issue is both Weigman and Marcel Reed really, really, really did well when teams weren't prepared for them. If y'all remember that LSU game, they were prepared for Weigman, and then Marcel Reed comes in and ends up winning that, or It was vice versa. They did it vice versa with Missouri, who was ranked last year too. Marcel Reed starts, and then Weigman gets brought in after Marcel Reed struggles. And I might have that reverse. I'm remembering it in my head right. Anyway, they did that. But I think Connor Weigman is an amazing quarterback. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. Hey, Aggies are rooting for him to be a good quarterback, and I get that. But I think you're going to watch him. Look what Haynes Kings ended up doing at Georgia Tech. You guys are going to be, and especially if Marcel Reed struggles, you're going to be looking at Connor Weigman going, we had this 5-star on our roster. We didn't just let him go through the lumps, take his lumps, learn it, get going, and become what he is. I like Connor Weigman. I think Connor Weigman is going to be good for Houston. And it's his hometown. It's close to where he grew up. I really like it. Now, who's my number 3? I know most of you think who my number 1 is. Well, you'd be surprised because here's my number 3 right here, Arch Manning. What can I say about Arch Manning? I think the most talented quarterback out of this group, no doubt. I'm biased. I admit that. But I'm not going to put him the number 1 quarterback, although I think he is probably the most talented and one of those guys that can beat a team with just his arm and his legs. But he's only started a couple of games. He's always, last year he's from Isidore Newman in New Orleans. Everyone knows the story. He's a Manning. Comes out of high school. He's 6'4", 219 pounds. He's a 5-star, number 1 overall recruit. Wasn't a big media hog. You didn't see him do a lot of stuff during his recruitment. Never let on where he was going to go. Finally joins Twitter one day and just posts, I'm committed. And he comes to UT, sits behind Quinn Ewers for 2 years and waits his turn. A lot of people, and here's the saying that you get from a lot of people on Arch Manning. Well, if he is so good, why did he not beat out the 7th rounder, Quinn Ewers? And this drives me crazy, and it's stupid, just for the reason why that I just told you about Connor Weigman. Quarterbacks have to learn. I don't care how talented Arch Manning is, and I think he's talented. I think he will end up the most talented quarterback of this group, without a doubt. I think he leads this team to close to a national championship, if not a national championship. But he's going to be a first-year starter full-time, and first-year starters make mistakes. They're just going to have those. That first time he gets a big pass rush, yes, his legs will help him. You're going to run into those issues, and you're going to have those problems. Steve Sarkisian isn't stupid. He went with his experienced quarterback who got him to where two CFP semifinal games that Steve Sarkisian liked, and he wasn't going to put in. Everybody thought, well, Arch Manning should just take over. Arch Manning was still learning. We weren't ready. Quinn Ewers deserved to get those starts. Arch Manning came in situations. He did well. He started 2 games, looked amazing, but you saw some of it. He held the ball too long in the pocket sometimes. He wasn't really running his offense and game planning to do his offense. They had some packages for him with his legs especially. In 2023, his first year in college, he redshirted. He only played in 2 games, but last year he played in 10 games. Threw for almost 1,000 yards, threw 9 TDs, 2 interceptions, rushed for 4 more TDs. You guys saw everything that he did as a Texas Longhorn quarterback. Even you Aggies who hate the University of Texas have to admit the guy looks good, but I don't have him ranked above your guy. I've got him ranked number 3 because he's got to prove it. He's got to go out and prove it. I have no doubt. I would almost bet my house that halfway through the season, we're all re-looking at this, and I'm going, see who the number 1 quarterback is? It's Arch Manning, and we're going to be impressed. But he's got to go do it, and he's going to look bad in a couple of situations. They're going to barely beat a team they should kill. That happens to any good team. They're probably going to slip up and lose one of the games. I wouldn't surprise me if Texas ends up, going 11-1 or 10-2 and losing, to someone like A&M, even though they're going to be ranked higher than A&M at the end of the year. I mean, this stuff happens, but it doesn't mean that your quarterback's bad. It just means that things happen. Arch Manning is number 3 on my list. That gets us to the top 2 quarterbacks in the Texas FBS system of the state of Texas FBS Division I schools. Let's go to number 2. And number 2, my Aggies are happy. It's Marcel Reed. Marcel Reed's out of Nashville, Tennessee, Montgomery Bell Academy. He's 6'2", 180 pounds. He was a 4-star recruit coming out. Comes in 2023, and he redshirted, appeared in about 3 games when he got to Texas A&M. Last year, he started 11 games. And it's why he's ahead of Arch Manning. He played in 11 games and started. He threw for 1,864 yards, 15 TDs, 6 interceptions. Look, Marcel Reed is a good quarterback. Is he a great quarterback? I don't know. He certainly showed what he can do throwing the ball. He certainly showed what he can do running the ball. He also showed that when a team prepares for Marcel Reed, they can box him in and make him make mistakes. Now, he had some success when I didn't think he was going to. He had some failures when I thought he should have run all over kids. He's got a lot of experience, though. He knows he's the starter heading into the season. They got a big one coming up in the first, I think it's the third game of the year when they play Notre Dame. They're going to be up there playing Notre Dame. I really like Marcel Reed. He has and here's what Marcel Reed is. Texas A&M doesn't need Marcel Reed to take them and carry them to a national championship. They need him to not lose them a national championship. Some teams got to depend on a quarterback to lead them to where they're going, including our number one quarterback. They'd have to be on his back. But some teams are good enough, especially with Elko and his defensive mindset. If you get a really good defense, you just need a guy to drive the bus on the offense. Marcel Reed can be that guy. He can be better than that guy. He can obviously do more than that. This is a talented guy. And I'm not going to say he's not a talented guy. A&M's lucky to have Marcel Reed, but I think that he is not, I don't know yet whether he's first team SEC. I don't know if he's, first team all, I don't know yet. Could he be? Sure. Absolutely. Could he end up with better stats than Arch? Yeah, absolutely. Of course he could. As long as Arch is winning games, I don't care what Marcel Reed does. That's the way I feel as a Longhorn fan. Look, the Aggies got a lot going this year. They should start to feel well about how they look. Are they going to compete for the SEC? They could. They really could. Could they end up 7-5, 8-4? Absolutely. In fact, it's probably a little more likely to be about 8-4, 9-3 than it is to be 11-1, 12 or 10-2, even 12-0. I don't see it happening for them, but they could be good, and they could definitely be in the CFP hunt. I think for sure A&M has a chance to get in the CFP, even if they don't win the SEC. I think that they're that good enough, and Marcel Reed might be the one that pushes them over that edge. So now we go to our number one quarterback. Our coach was Rhett Lashley from SMU. Our quarterback is Kevin Jennings from SMU. Kevin Jennings is from South Oak Cliff High School. He was a 3-star coming out of high school, 6 foot, 185 pounds. He led SOC to a state title, first state title for a DISD school in like 75 years or something. DISD did not have a lot of success in football, and they did not win for years. I remember the Carter team that won and ended up getting it stripped away. Was a DISD school. He led SOC to their first state championship. Now they've won a few. They have a great coach there. Committed to SMU out of SOC. His 2022, he redshirted, played in about 4 games. In 2023, he played in 8 games. He started 2. He threw for 618 yards, 5 TDs, 2 interceptions. But last year, I was impressed with Kevin Jennings. Did he make mistakes? Sure. All of them make mistakes, but boy, what a kid in 2024. He played in 14 games. He started 11 last year, threw for 3,245 yards. He had 23 TDs, 11 interceptions. Look, they got spanked in the college football playoff by Penn State, team that was just better than them. To put it quite bluntly, they went down and scored immediately, and their defense just couldn't hold up. SMU has a chance to make noise again in the ACC. I think they do. Will they win it or get a chance this year? I don't think they'll do quite as well. But I do like Kevin Jennings, and if they're going to do anything again, and if they're going to go anywhere again, Rhett Lashley's going to have Kevin Jennings carry them to where they need to go. So this is the quarterbacks, guys. It's been a lot of fun doing this. I love doing this. I hope you enjoyed the coaches' rankings. I hope you enjoyed this rankings. Next thing we're going to do, guys, we're going to start breaking down every team, probably do a few at a time, or maybe each one will get their own individual, probably about 15, 20-minute longs, talking about what I think that they will do. and their schedule, how they do in their schedule, and that'll be the next ones to start coming out. Thanks for watching this one. Thanks for Fanatics View for partnering up with me. This is the Texas College Football Show, and until the next one, guys, we'll see you on the gridiron.